this series of videos we will discuss about our development over the lifespan. In the first unit, we will talk about cognitive development. You might wonder, how do we understand how the way the world works? So researchers found that both nature and nurture plays a role. So nature plays a role in our brain development. At only around 25 days, the embryo has a distinct spinal cord as well as the hindbrain, midbrain, and forebrain. And then the human brain is fully developed at around 25 years old. But the development of thinking can take place across the lifespan. We will learn, develop problem-solving skills and different language abilities, and our interaction with the environment, such as experience, will also contribute to our overall thinking process. Here is the great debate again. As a recap, nature refers to one's genes or heritable traits, and nurture refers to the environment that we develop in, the homes we grew up, and the schools we went, and what interactions we have with people. The great debate of where intelligence comes from is generally settled in the idea that development involves an interaction between genes and the environment. This is an example of how nature and nurture influence one's development. This baby is naturally born to be very cute and has a good temperament. The parents tend to nurture this baby better because research has found that parents tend to provide more affectionate care to cute infants. So this positive nature and nurture interaction contributes to a better psychosocial development of the baby. Now that we have a better understanding of the nature and nurture interaction, let's talk about how we have utilized different ways to illustrate the concept of development. So the first one is continuous development, which involves gradual quantitative changes, but the discontinuous development will involve a relatively sudden, a qualitative change, or changes in steps. Researchers wonder about which type of development will characterize children's thinking process. So the continuous development can illustrate a tree's gradual change over time. So trees may grow wider and taller. But the discontinuous development will illustrate a ladybug's sudden development. You can see that the ladybug can change its form at various stages of its life. So what do you think is the right format to characterize children's thinking? Some developmental psychologists categorize human development into different stages. So this is following the discontinuous development. So regardless of cultural background, they think that humans will go through specific stages in a fixed order. So Piaget's stage theory will split human development into 4 stages: the sensory motor stage, the preoperational stage, the concrete operational stage, and then finally the formal operational stage. We will cover each stage one by one in the upcoming slides. The sensory motor stage is the first stage. It classifies human development from birth to the age of 2. During this stage, children's thinking is realized through their perceptions with the world and their physical interactions with the environment. At this time, their mental representations are still very limited. Before 9 months, object permanence is not fully developed yet. So if a 4-month infant is playing with a toy and another person covers the toy with a white cloth, the infant will make no effort to retrieve it because the baby don't know that the toy continues to exist despite they cannot see them. So this is called out of sight, out of mind. And here's a YouTube video that you can go and refer to so you may better understand the concept of object permanence. The next stage is preoperational stage. Children aged between 2 to 6 or 7 years old will fall in this stage. This is when they may go to kindergarten and elementary school and learn to represent the world symbolically. During this time, children can draw and their language use is also more mature. But their thinking is still self-centered, they are not able to consider things from multiple dimensions. Let me give you an example. Lucy's birthday is coming up, so Steve's mother takes him to the toy store to choose a present for Lucy. Steve selects an Iron Man figure for her, thinking that if he likes the toy, Lucy will also like it too. So an egocentric child is not able to infer the perspective of other people, and instead will use their own judgment to make decisions. So during this stage, children still cannot think logically. They often only focus on one dimension, but ignore changes in other dimensions. So in the video, children in this stage still cannot solve conservational problems. So they fail to understand that the physical transformation of an object doesn't always change the quantity of the object. Moving on to the third stage called concrete operational stage. Children aged 7 to 11 or 12 no longer focus solely on one dimension, and they have more complex thinking and start to learn rules such as conservation. So when they can master the conservation task, we call it decentration, which is moving away from being egocentric. Children under this age know that if nothing is added or being taken away, then the amount of something stays the same. So breaking a cookie into smaller pieces doesn't make more cookies. And they also master the principle of reversibility. So water can be frozen into ice and then thawed to become liquid again. But they know that sometimes reversibility is not possible. For example, scrambled eggs cannot be unscrambled. Here are other skills that children might master. Seriation is to be able to arrange things by length, size, height, weight, and order. So children in this stage are able to put these tubes from the smallest to the largest. Then for classification, they are able to organize things in different classes or subclasses. So able to be accurately sorting the different bins into different bowls. Then for identity, they understand that the qualities of an object don't change even if the object is altered in format. So a crushed egg is still an egg. Then for transitivity, a dog is a mammal, and that a white terrier is a dog, so then a white terrier must be a mammal. So these types of complex thinking can also be mastered. Then the final stage proposed by Piaget is called the formal operational stage. During this stage, children can attain reasoning power similar to mature adults. But it's important to note that this stage might not occur without formal education. So thinking about people who live in the Amazon, this stage might not be present for children under this age. With more research conducted by developmental psychologists, some suggest an additional stage, the fifth stage called Postformal Stage. They argue that logic is integrated with emotions in this stage, so children can have rational thinking, and they may use their previous experiences to solve new problems. And then they can think about the future and make decisions based on the situation. Piaget's theory is based on the discontinuous development, but there are flaws in his theory. So the first one is that cognitive development is rather continuous. It's not an all or none process like the action potential. For example, the development of math skills takes practice. It's not that you have math skills or not. And think about this. On the exact day you turn 9 months old, do you suddenly acquire object permanence? So these are the problems associated with his theory using the discontinuous development. And secondly, the stages of cognitive development shouldn't be universal. Some experiences may influence when developmental changes might occur. So research found that children who live in pottery-making villages understand that reshaping a clay does not change the quantity of the clay. So certain conservation skills may be acquired earlier in some cultures. What are the implications of understanding cognitive development in children? So by understanding these, it can help us improve education. For example, phonemic awareness, which is the awareness of the component sounds, has been found to be important in developing reading skills in children. And for math, they found that children from low-income families have poor math because they engage in board games less often. But later on, researchers found that by engaging in a similar game by drawing letters on a piece of paper works out equally well. Infants and babies cannot be studied using the same research methods as adults. This slide includes some of the common research methods in children. First, we may utilize involuntary responses. Because children have limited motor control, they cannot hold their heads up and cannot grab things. So researchers examine children's involuntary responses to stimuli such as eye-tracking techniques. Through different studies, they found that infants look at novel stimuli for a longer period of time. The other type is called voluntary responses, which is often done in behavioral studies to record children's actions and behaviors. For example, observing what food do they like to eat, what toys they want to play. Then the third type is called parent report questionnaires or interviews. So they may interview parents, and parents may complete a child behavior checklist. Then the final one is to use different monitoring. So for example, measure hormone levels and brain activity. So these constitute the psychophysiological responses. Researchers have recorded event-related potentials through fitting a cap with sensors and electrodes on babies, and they may record babies' electrical currents when responding to stimuli, like sounds and pictures. So if you are interested, you could see this video for a research study through recording event-related potentials on babies. We will wrap up our first video here, and in our next one, we will talk about social and personality development.